Hello everybody, and in today's video we're going to be comparing lichess.org and chess.com, two of the biggest sites to play chess online. I have 5 different categories for today's video. The interface of the websites, how the playing experience is, the game analysis, extra miscellaneous features, and the community of both websites. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Let's begin with the interface of both websites. Now, the Lichess interface is a very basic interface. The background, it's kind of more dulled down, and it isn't as vibrant as the chess.com interface in a lot of different ways, really. So, yeah, so I have Lichess open here, and as you can see, it looks pretty good, you know. It has like the basic interface with the arenas, and I have an announcement here. And then you can just pick to play any kind of game. It's a very simple interface, but it isn't vibrant as compared to chess.com's interface. This just has a lot of really nice, rounded buttons, and obviously it's a bigger team making chess.com's website, so I mean it's clear because it has a lot of stuff is a lot more well placed. And so yeah, for this one I'm definitely going to give chess.com the win. Next up, we have the uh, playing experience. Now, I'm just gonna load up a bullet game on chess.com, or on Lichess, sorry, just to show you kind of what it looks like. So you're given a warning to play your move within a margin of a few seconds. Okay, aborted the game. But basically, what it is you're playing the game. It's normal. You can choose your piece sets. I have this piece set just because I like it. Um, it is pretty customizable here. You can see who you're playing against, kind of the time frame, their notes here, and it's just your standard playing experience here. Um, and because Lichess has fewer users, the pairings might be a bit more off. For example, I am playing against someone who's 10 points lower rated than me. But on chess.com that rarely ever happens because you have a lot of people playing and that are available to play with you. So it's all just a matter of what you prefer, honestly. But both of the playing experiences are just about the same, in my opinion. So we're just gonna wait for this game to end, and then yes. Okay. So we have that game. So now we're going to look over the playing experience on chess.com. So chess.com definitely has a lot to offer in terms of its playing experience. It's a very good platform, and I'm just going to start a 1 minute game here just to kind of show you. Um, and so you have this opening, and you can just play like this. It'll tell you the opening, how much rating you'll win or lose. It definitely has a lot more experience information than chess.com, um, than Lichess, but it's all good. Anyway, it's a very good platform to use. So you can see here that it's just a normal thing. You can go back to the first move. You can kind of play or pause the game if you're in an analysis, I think. And you can choose to flip the board if you want to do that for analysis purposes. So all in all, this is a very good platform to use, and the playing experience is top notch. It is a very big website. It is the most used website to play online, so the playing experience is never in doubt, really, with this. So I'm just going to wrap up this game here. So yeah, for this one, I'm definitely going to give both of them. I think are equal in terms of the playing experience. So next up we have the analysis. Now the analysis for both of these is actually both are very good analysis. They're different. They're good in their own ways. So if you look at uh, a game that I played recently, go into the analysis board. So you can see that all the moves are here, and you have an engine evaluation. Now, unlike chess.com, you don't have multiple lines. I think maybe there might be a setting to choose more. Yeah, there is a setting to choose more, but it isn't on by default. Whereas on chess.com it is, and you have the engine evaluation here. And you can also choose to request a computer analysis, and this is kind of like the game review on chess.com, and this is completely free. You don't need a membership to do a lot of them, so you can do as many as you want in a day. See, it's kind of telling me my accuracy, how many blunders, how many inaccuracies, how many mistakes, average centipon loss, which is a centipon is 0.01 of point. So, 0.2 plus 0.2 means white is up 20 centipons, and this is kind of how they judge it. So, basically, it's just giving the accuracy here, and it tells you if it's a mistake, similar to chess.com. It doesn't give you great or brilliant moves, but I don't find that too terrible because it's just the whole point of analyzing your games is to see where you went wrong, and you can always just take the PGN in this share and export tab and paste it into chess.com's analysis. So there's always an option for that, so there's no need to do everything on chess.com here. And so yeah, so it's telling you the mistakes and everything. Personally, I really like this analysis. I feel like it's very easy to use compared to chess.com's, but that's just me. So now going over to chess.com's analysis, we have here that, for example, if I were to do an analysis of one of my games, my past games, um, if I were to do an analysis of one of my past games, let's just hit game review here because I can always switch to analysis. We have the game review here. Game review, a lot of you might be familiar with. It'll give you book move, and it gives a lot of different types of moves. So there's basically here there's blunders, worst of the worst, terrible moves, miss, mistake, and accuracy, book, good, good, and this is just going up in order. Book is just theory, and then it gives you your game rating. So what basically it's the different way to say performance rating. And on Lichess, it doesn't give you this, but it does. Chess.com doesn't give centipon loss, and it'll tell you how it thinks you played in each stage of the game. So this is kind of the game review thing. It'll give you feedback on each and every move, and I'm pretty sure you need a diamond membership for this coach to tell you about the moves. But and then if we just go over to the analysis tab, so no game review. This is the equivalent of not doing a computer analysis here. It'll just give you the move feedback. You'll have the 3 engine lines. So this is on by default, where you actually have to turn it on actively in Lichess. So this is it's a difference between the two. But you can just do it like this. Personally, I prefer chess.com's version of analysis just because it's a lot cleaner. And honestly, Lichess, it's kind of weird. It doesn't give as much info, and I'm just kind of used to chess.com, so I might be a bit biased, but you know, it's not that much of a different. It's not that much of a factor in how I judge these two sites. So, we're gonna give chess.com the win for that one. Alright, so next up we have the extra features. So let's start off with Lichess. Now by extra features I mean these tabs in the top. Such as tools, you know, community, watch, learn, puzzles, that kind of stuff. Stuff that isn't actually used to play chess games, but rather to maybe improve your game, or teach you something new, or maybe to just keep up with the world of chess. After all, these sites are primarily used to play chess, and these are just extra features used for people so they keep coming back to the website. So as you can see here on Lichess, there's puzzles, puzzle themes, puzzle dashboard, puzzle streak, puzzle storm, and puzzle racer, and all of these are very good ways to improve your puzzles. And only the puzzles are rated, so that's very helpful. And then you have learn. You have these. I'll show you some of the important ones. Study. You might know what a study is. A study is a combination of positions where you can analyze and look at this. For example, I see one called Crush E4 with the Caro-Kann, and it'll introduce you to this opening and go over some variations. And the idea is that this study will teach you the basics of the Caro-Kann. Like this. You know, it's kind of walking you through. This is made by somebody else, but you can also make your own studies to analyze your own games. Now we have practice. Now practice is just practicing some basic chess tactics and ideas, such as under promotion, for example. If I were to click on this, it says practice with computer, under promotion. So here in this position, the whole idea of this is that it's under promotion. So you don't want to promote to a queen, you want to promote to a knight, and that is checkmate. So it's like that, right? So here you won't want to promote to a queen as that's mate, that's a rook. Similar stuff all around, right? So then we have coordinates, which is kind of a unique thing. They added this to chess.com. I don't know which one came first, but it's asking you h6, right? So h6, f4, a3, d7, e2, e1, f1, you know. So it's a really nice way to improve. They'd have this in chess.com, like I said before. I don't know which one was added first, but this is a fun change of pace from what kind of training people normally do. Then you have watch. Broadcast just means it's live coverage of any big events that might be happening. It might be the biggest thing, which right now is the Grand Swiss. It could be a reasonably small event, which is the LV1 Seville chess tournament or the Switzerland team championship. Obviously, the bigger ones will be at the top. But basically, this is just kind of live coverage of some events or tournaments. So you can see here that there are some live games. They don't include this. They might include the streams on this, but I'm not sure. I don't see them that often. But yeah, they just show you the games, and you can look at the games as you please. Then you have Lichess TV, which is basically just showing you the top-rated players in every time format or variant, and it'll just be showing their games, so that's not anything too special. Community is just a lot of, people. And so then you have tools. So tools is a very important part of it. Analysis board, this is where you could do like opening preparation. For example, if you were trying to study the Ruy Lopez, you could just go through this and look at some of the engine lines here, etc., etc. Very nice analysis board that they have. They kind of have this text. It's kind of hard to see with my background, but I think you can kind of make out the text over here if I highlight it. It's just different variations, history of the opening, popular theory, that kind of stuff. And it comes from something called Wikibook. You can also do stuff like Crazy House, and it actually does have an engine for this kind of stuff, which is insane. I think it's only for some variants, or maybe it could be for all. So, Atomic, the best move is this, and you have to play this, and yada yada yada. So, very nice analysis board that they have. Same with the board editor, where you can make a position. For example, if you wanted to teach somebody how to king and queen mate, then you would be black. You would flip the board so it would be from your perspective. And you do continue with here, play with a friend. Just as an example, but this board editor is a very nice way. And then there's import game, where you can just import a game to analyze it with the computer and to share it with friends, put it in a study, that kind of stuff. So, very good external features for Lichess here, but unfortunately for Lichess, chess.com just has way too many of them. You can see all these tabs, like there's so many of them. Chess.com is clearly a bigger website, obviously, like I said a lot of times before, so it's gonna have a lot of features here. You can see your game history, all of this. Nothing too unique about this, but Lichess doesn't have bots, really. It only has the Stockfish level, so this has so many bots, so many chess.com bots. And there are tournaments here, just like in Lichess. There are tournaments over here, right? There are tournaments over here. This one just has a full page full of them, and you can just pick to join them. There's like a big chart. Then 4-player and variants. Now, variants, chess.com has just so many of them. You see 4-player chess, Bug House, Duck Chess, Fogelvore, Crazy House. Lichess doesn't have half of the variants that chess.com, Lichess doesn't have half the variants that chess.com has. There are just so many variants, and these are just the most popular, so, it's amazing how many there are, but anyway, then you have the Learn. So the Learn is one of the most impressive parts. You have Aim Chess Training, which is an outside thing, I think maybe made by chess.com or sponsored or something like that, I'm not sure. Practice. I've never actually done, actually no, I have done practice, and you can do master games like this, and you can just kind of play, if you want to do a lesson, I guess, the coach might walk you through, and that kind of stuff. So, it's just very helpful. You could go through this if you want. I don't go through them too much, but personally, if this kind of thing suits you, then I guess it would be good for some people. Chess lessons. These are made by chess experts, grandmasters, just to learn these opening ideas. A lot of these lines are constantly evolving, so it may not be the best just to learn from these. Maybe you want to watch some videos or something online just to learn what's new and what's best in the new, because this might be a bit old, but it is a very solid thing. You can find a lot of good chess openings here. For example, if I were to look at the Ruy Lopez, you can see here Ruy Lopez closed, pawn structure, Ruy Lopez. So there are just so many resources that you can use here. And then you have the watch. Now, the watch is the equivalent of the broadcast on Lichess.org. There are just a ton of live events here, and these are the big ones where, like, all the top GMs will be playing. But you also have the current events with some other smaller events here, so there's just so many of them, And if I were to look at, for example, Rio Chess Masters here, and you can just look at these. Normally there's a live stream for the bigger ones, but if there's not, it'll just say live with all the games going on here, and you can just kind of look at the cross tables. On Lichess, it always redirects you to a completely different website where you're going to have to look at the standings, and it's often one of those. Let me show you. See, not a good example. If you were to go to the Grand Swiss, you would go to Overview, you'd go to Standings, and again, it would redirect you to this. Website where you can check the standings of the FIDE Grand Swiss, and you could look at after round 4, and you could just see the standings here. So, but this just has their own cross table in chess.com. Much more convenient if you ask me. but it's just a matter of taste. Then you have Chess Today news articles. So news is just kind of looking at what's new. You know, they'll put articles if someone wins a tournament, new things in chess.com, updates to the website, all that kind of stuff. You can filter out some stuff with chess events, chess players, politics, editorials, chess.com news. So if I were to go to news, for example, it would show this, just some extra stuff, you know, new title Tuesday, that kind of stuff like that. And then you have social. So these are all my friends on the page. You also have the clubs in the chat. And you can look at this kind of stuff. I don't go onto these pages a lot, but some people do. For example, there are a ton of forums about discussions, about tournaments, about games. You know, a lot of people just interact with others here. And you have coaches. You can use this page to find coaches. Um, and I guess it'll show their contact information, whatever they choose to post here, and you can get in contact with them if you want coaching, I guess. So if I were to click on him, then it would be like join us for the improvement challenge YouTube channel, you know, and it might give some contact info where I can contact him. So really, it's a great addition to the site. Honestly, looking for people who want to find a coach, and then you have this more page. There are way too many on this to go over all of them, so I'll just kind of tell you what these are. Openings, library. You know, library is to store your own games. Vision, vote chess. Vote chess is where you and a lot of other players will vote to play against some big figure. The recent ones have been play vote chess against Magnus, and right now vote chess against Gotham Chess. Then you have resources, videos, terms, rules, you know, if you're kind of a beginner. And then they have their own merch because, again, they're a very big company. So in all honesty, I feel like the extra features, chess.com wins this just completely because, you know, there's basically no question. Lichess has it really well for a smaller website, but chess.com is just too big. Lastly, you have the community. So, the Chess.com and Lichess community are pretty different despite being all about the same game. The Chess.com community is much bigger. Chess.com claims that they have the biggest chess site in the world, and they're completely correct. You know, they have the most people, but Chess.com's community sometimes can be very unbalanced, should I say. I've recently read this. It says, why can't I find this? Okay, hold on. So yeah, I basically read this article where it said 100,000 accounts closed per month for cheating alone, and it's kind of amazing because although Chester.com has way more people, so obviously there's going to be more cheaters. But the way Lichess stops cheaters, and it's actually very interesting. If you go on to this, basically, they go through a multi-pronged approach, open source algorithms, and so engine like consistency, right? And actually, it says frequent or suspicious disconnects during a game can also be an indicator of cheating, right? And I've heard that if you're caught cheating in a Lichess game, basically they'll just make you lose the game on the spot, and the game will be over. It'll say suspected cheat or something like that. And I've seen it happen before. So it's amazing how how Lichess does it. But this means that a lot of people are getting away with cheating on chess.com. I understand that they've introduced new cheating measures, and obviously it isn't easy to do this kind of stuff. It's not easy to see if someone's actually cheating or if they're playing the game of their life, especially at a top level where a lot of the players are able to play at very high accuracy levels. But it's amazing because 0.3% of monthly active users are closed for fair play. And while that may not seem like a lot, it is a lot to be caught cheating in chess. And cheating is a big problem. You know, if you're cheating in chess, that ruins the experience for everybody. You aren't learning anything. Your opponent is going to lose the game terribly. And it's just a very bad thing to happen. And although this isn't the only thing about the communities, I can't really narrow the community stuff down. So, in my opinion, Lichess wins the community thing, the community contest by a mile. So that being said, So with that being said, if you consider a win as 1 point for win for 1 point for either website, equal as 1/2, and loss as none, this just means that chess.com has 3.5 points with 3 wins and one thing considered equal, and chess.com has 1.5 points. So it's fair to say that chess.com is the superior site to play chess on. Now, this is just my opinion. Please don't be offended if any of you are loyal Lichess users. And this is just my opinion. This is just the way I see things. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.